By the way.
Oh, sorry. I was handed to me.
Thank you. We convene our business. Is there any public comment? Any comment from the board? There will be no chair's report tonight. Meeting minutes. We have amended meeting minutes from March the 23rd and the April 13th. Are there any other additions, corrections, changes? I'll take a motion to approve. Yes,
Just a correction on the attendance on the 13th.
Yes,
Vice President.
we shall have that corrected.
Can you prove it?
I think so.
I think that was what I
Okay. In that case, I'll accept it.
Yeah. I can offer proof.
So we'll make that change. So I don't want to think we need to resubmit this another time. We'll just make the change
The final record copy will have it.
okay. So let's just take a motion to approve the minutes as changed or as amended.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Well, I
Monthly.
abstained since I wasn't here for the meeting.
Okay. We will note that for the record. You abstained. Monthly invoices. We have Shamit Design and Construction for $1,109,968.85. We have NV5, aka Jocelyn Lesser and Associates, for $52,500. We have Tepe Associates for $85,126.20. And we have testing services for $220. Testing services, if you saw the backup, was for soil testing on the loam going in. The final one was for Schofield Power Equipment. This was as part of the FF&E, correct?
Yes.
So that was for a Honda 9 horsepower track snow blower for $2,559. That's part of the FF&E. So it's within the budget of the FF&E. I'll pass those around for signature.
It's an awesome story.
Good choice, though.
It's
Weight
the best.
differential and all that.
It'll shoot over your house.
Is there
Remind me, have we started to reduce the retainage?
Well, that's an interesting question. We actually had a discussion of construction today where they've started to talk about which ones they may begin to reduce the retaining. For instance, like steel, since they've been done for a year. But some of them,
Nothing's moved?
no retainage has been given at all.
Not yet.
Okay.
It did come up today, and we will be looking at that going forward.
So, why don't we start down there and we'll get it back around. Monthly approvals and commitments, amendment number 11. Who's going to speak to that, or shall I?
It would be page 29.
It's amendment number 11 to Caf Architects contract for additional services to reconfigure the size of the new sports field. They were originally basically two different sizes, and it has been requested to basically make them the same size so they can be used basically at the same time for the same kind of thing. And that's in the amount of $2,244. And this would be services primarily for Warner Larson, the landscape architect, who would review grading, drainage, all of that sort of stuff that goes into this.
So what we have here is a request from the schools that the original concept was you'd have a playing field and then you'd have a practice field. By basically moving the field lines, which would require us to move some lighting and redirect some of the lighting, we could get 2 playing fields in the space. So in effect, you'd wind up with three playable fields in front of the school rather than just 2 playing fields and a practice field. There doesn't seem to be any large need for additional expenditures other than the redesign. Because you're basically moving, you're moving an already existing line. You're taking your lighting and you're moving it someplace else.
It would be within the existing footprint, though.
Correct. It's in the existing footprint of the layout of those 3 front fields. So you have the football field, then you had a practice field that's the same length as a football field, it's just narrower. So we're moving the line out so that
This is just a diagram so somebody knows where to get down the line.
No, it's to where to relocate the electric service, the lighting.
But there will be no charge to relocate the electric service?
No, because
it hasn't been done.
It hasn't been
yet.
done.
And it's small enough of a change that you're not going to somebody's not going to start saying, well, there's $5,000 for new cable or more cable.
We don't believe so. It needs to be verified. We have a team doing that, but the first pass looks like it's just a shifting of some things.
Just a sketch.
Right.
Say this is a little bit different.
Put that line here as opposed to 5 feet over there.
Okay.
It's also, they just wanted to reconfirm that there wasn't any effect on drainage or anything like that. So they just wanted to make sure that that was looked at as well. So really, the design services is just to make sure that we were looking at all the underlying systems while we were doing this.
Ms. Mackin, if I could, this is all part of what happened as we began to study and have that great process with this committee around artificial turf and wanting to maximize the playing fields as well as practicing fields for not only our school kinds of activities, but the youth activities. So as we looked at that, the AD made this recommendation. These will both be, they're actually for both football and soccer and lacrosse. So these fields will accommodate play of all of those sports. The field that was first designated as a practice field only has lights on one side. So it would be limited in its play use to daylight hours, but that still is a very big benefit. And they're all within the regulations we verify, or the architects have verified that as well with the MIAA.
So we get 3 fields, 2 fields for use outside of daylight, and one that would be used only in daylight. Is that right? Is that what I heard?
Two, because the front field doesn't have
Oh, so
lights.
just-
So 2 fields
Okay.
that would only be, 2 fields that wouldn't have full night lighting.
Okay.
1 field that has full night lighting, plus the artificial turf field. So 2 and 2.
So in thinking through as the superintendent said in his recommendation, this would, the concern about when the presentation was made to us about the artificial turf was being able to rotate the uses of the fields in such a way that you would be placing too much burden on any one field. So this is the proposal. I think that the only thing we may again see in the future is that front field was not originally scoped to have a goalpost to it. I think there's some consideration as to trying to get goalposts in there as well.
It's the practice field.
Right.
That field, yes.
The front field.
No, not
The practice field.
The
second-
what was...
Right, what was the practice field?
What was the practice field?
Would it, so the goalposts would be for football, I would assume?
Yeah.
And that would only be used for practice?
Not according to the AD. This the potential for daytime play.
Right, so like the
Yeah.
the Bengals or whoever would use it, okay,
Exactly.
that's fine.
Right.
Exactly.
Sure, it wasn't just primarily practice.
Yeah.
Right.
Only on goalposts.
Or weekday afternoon games at the beginning of the
Okay.
season where you still have daylight.
Right.
JP.
I was just saying,
Right.
like JV plays during the week in the afternoon. and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, are there any Further questions on this item? I'll take a motion to approve amendment number 11.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. We wanted to just review at this point, the outstanding the PCI log. These are what we kind of keep a running tally on, things that we might be looking at for change orders in the future. We're at a point in the project that, and I think Phil or Jonathan might be able to speak a little bit more about this, where we're going to be seeing these sort of small item closeout things as changes to the project. Also during that period of time, we're also going to start seeing some recouping of credits from that will be some paperwork on changes that are credits that will from various contractors who may owe a credit for certain work. So I just wanted to point out that you get these logs. These are potential change orders. Is there anything that we wanted to talk about specifically, Phil?
I think we want to touch on Verizon.
Yes, let's talk about Verizon. Why don't you start the conversation?
So everybody's aware of the Verizon strike. It's affecting installations, new services. So unfortunately, we were on the schedule for Verizon to have them come in and put our new phone lines in for life safety systems about 5 days after they went on strike. So because of the strike, we were unable to get the Verizon lines within the timeline we had in our original schedule. Through some back channel workings with MV5, they were able to get Verizon techs into the building. We now have those phone lines. Unfortunately, the damage has already been done. The owner move-in for furniture is scheduled for next week. We couldn't get the life safety systems, primarily the elevator, up and running and test it, inspect it within the time frame that we would need to in order to facilitate the move-in. Luckily, as a fallback, we are able to hire the elevator contractor to operate the cab without it being inspected to facilitate the move-in. So at this point, we've identified 3 days for that move-in, and we have a rate, an agreed-upon rate with the elevator contractor that roughly cost, for 3 days, it's roughly going to cost $5,476 to have them on site for 8 hours to operate the elevator cab. This cost is, I'm assuming, is far less than what it would be to postpone the 20 or 30 tractor trailers worth of furniture that were scheduled to start arriving on Thursday of next week. So that's kind of how we got here.
Mr. Chair, it's not correction, it's not a move-in, it's the furniture deliveries.
Sorry, furniture delivery.
The move-in
furniture.
is fine, it's in June. The furniture deliveries are scheduled for starting the 17th, and the scheduling those deliveries to a later date would be also a cost impact because the furniture would have to be temporarily stored somewhere, so that's a whole new, and also the time of the technology.
Is there an opportunity to back charge Verizon?
You bet.
There's usually a lot of guys out in front of the store you can talk to about.
Hope they don't turn the phones off.
Hey, sometimes they taste them without looking at it.
You can try.
Yeah, I just wanted everybody to be aware of that this was a blip that we needed to handle. We needed to handle it quickly, and this is the solution that we came up with in order to keep the project on track.
I'm glad the elevator operator is sensitive to our needs and only charging us $600 an hour. Must be out of New Jersey.
Yeah.
We're all headquartered there, I'm sure. so.
Yeah. It's a slight, it costs us more because there's three floors on one.
Oh, sure. And they had to get somebody to get the 3. And that increased the educational value of the operator.
I mean, you had to count to 3?
Right. You gotta know that was a 3.
I mean, if it's actually there. God knows where you got the ghost workers.
But of course, the other piece of this is that it's actually part of the contract with the furniture delivery people that we have an elevator available.
That's working, yeah.
Right. So this is how we arrived there. I just wanted to make sure that people were aware that we had this blip and this is how we're dealing with it. I don't think there's any, were there any other items that we had talked about, Phil, that we wanted to make sure that we're on point 2 in the list?
There's one in this packet that we haven't gotten to yet, but it's the added boulder wall.
That's the next item.
Before we leave this, Mr. Chair, I mean, is that the extent of, is Verizon work now done, or are we still being impacted in some other?
The Verizon has brought in the phone lines that we requested. They supposedly livened, I think we wanted 12 lines livened, and 4 of them were bad. They're not the 4 that we need for the life safety. So at this point, we have what we need to start our checkout for life safety. So to answer your question, what we needed for life safety is done, but Verizon's not complete with what the town has contracted with them to install.
And then the inspection for the elevator will happen subsequently, and there's no other impacts?
Yeah, so basically, we kind of just went through this at the previous meeting. We can't commit to a date that the elevator is going to be inspected until we have the fire alarm checkout in hand, which we hope to have on Friday. They were testing a fire alarm all week since we got the... So once we have that, we can go to the elevator installer and say, here's the NFPA document, here's our checkout list, please schedule with the inspector. And we'll request an off-hours inspection so that we can not wait the 3 weeks or whatever it is for a daytime elevator inspection. So once we have that NFPA document, we can start to dial it in better. The other piece of the puzzle is now we're operating that cab during the day when they need to come in and check it out so that they can do their piece in order to schedule the inspector. So there's a little bit of an unknown right now. Once we have that NFPA document, we can really start the process moving and kind of have a more intelligent discussion about what the next steps are going to be.
And apparently we've also, well, I was educated on the fact that elevator inspectors are hard to get up. So we're often at their call, if you will.
Mr. Chair, I just had one question. Is there any other things that the strike may affect in the future, do you think, that may have a cost associated? Or, I mean, timing is one thing, but it's the costs that are...
At this time, nobody's presented anything to us formally.
Okay.
That's all I have.
And then I guess the cell towers, that can affect it at all or have any bearing on this project?
There's a separate...
Yeah, we're scheduled to meet with representatives from Verizon, their installation team, on May 26th.
Okay.
To try to make sure that this goes in smoothly with the Phase 2 construction.
Right, but the strike won't have any effect on that.
Well, it's not their wireless division.
Yeah, right.
It's the landline division.
Okay.
All right, that brings us to the last item on the multi-improvements. Oh, so there's no approval necessary there. I just want to make sure that we pointed out some of the things on that list. The concession stand retaining wall. Jen, did you want to talk to this, or who's presenting this?
So the initial design, there's a photo here on page 41. The initial design called for a fence to be installed on top of this retaining wall to alleviate the fall hazard from the drive aisle down to the playing area. There was a concern early on about the limited sight lines that might create from the concession stand. I guess there's a large portion of spectators that actually stand up there to watch whatever event's going on down at the track and field. So in the process of trying to maximize those sight lines, it also came to our attention that the fence that was going to go on top of here, because of its position on the wall, we had to go to the building official to get an interpretation as to whether or not the wall itself would be considered a step, meaning that we had a fence that was 42 inches above the drive aisle, but we had this little step, which is probably 2 or 3 inches, that you could get up onto. And at that point, is that step considered the level location? So is that where the 42 inches starts? The interpretation came back that in fact is where the 42 inches needed. So there would have been a change order to increase the height of the fence roughly 6 or 8 inches. I think it's in that range. In the process of going through all this, Warner Larson had a conversation with the building inspector about, well, what if we alleviated this huge drop-off here? So the building inspector said as long as it's limited to 30 inches, 3 feet away from the wall, we don't need a fence. So that alleviates the whole sightline issue altogether. We could delete the fence. The landscape architect developed this big design with some boulders to help raise the grade up to that 36 inches off the wall.
Page 42 and 43.
Which then we would infill with soil and loam, put some trees or some junipers in, and grade it out. That total cost to make that change, there's a credit for the fence that's not being installed, but then there's the add for the stone, the soil, the plantings, and mulch, and the boulders. So that total cost is $10,039.
After you've taken the credit.
After we've taken the credit.
The idea behind it being eliminating the fence helps the sight lines.
Helps the sight lines, and there would still be a cost to increase the height of the fence. We did not explore that option further.
What was the original cost of the fence?
I don't have the backup in here. I don't think the backup's in here. Is
I believe it was a 9,200 in that range, the credit.
So that 10,000 would be an increase of that added on.
Yeah, the total cost of the new work was about $19,000.
About 19, and with the 9 credit, it brings it down to 10. What's the difference between the sketch for page 42 and the sketch on page 43?
One's grading and one's planting.
Gotcha. That says right on it. Thank you.
Just one other question. Would the height of the fence be unaffected based on where you placed it on top of the retaining wall? Because if you don't have room to make the step from the pavement up, right?
Yeah, if it was closer to the...
So we did. So an option is we could look to set it in the roadway, but the issue could present itself as a maintenance problem with plows going through there. And then we can't bolt it to the front of it because then you have the full width of the retaining wall as a step.
What, from the backside?
Bolting it to the backside, you would...
No, bolting it to the front side on the
front
front side.
You would still have the maintenance issue of the potential of a plow hitting it. Now you don't have a buffer of concrete.
And the strength of the installation is going to be greatly diminished when kids start hanging on it.
Yeah,
But
Mr. Chair, and if you stand there and you're looking through a fence, the sight line would be pretty annoying. I mean, if you've ever watched a game stand from that point and you're looking through a chain link fence to see the field down below, I think the solution to the problem, is a good solution.
So my only concern with this solution, I think it would look very nice. My concern is maintenance. You get a bunch of boulders, you get trash strewn, wind blown.
Right.
Good point. You walk around the facility now, you look closely,
Yeah.
you find an awful lot of litter in a lot of different places. So I'd hate to go do this, have something that's supposed to be a nice feature, and it ends up being an eyesore.
Good point.
I guess to add on to that, what's the benefit of having the trees and the mulch as opposed to leaving it grass?
Then you need the fence.
No,
You could raise the grade, but just leave it grass instead
he
of...
felt that the plantings would deter people from congregating up in that area.
Okay.
And the maintenance on the creeping junipers is a whole lot easier than grass growing through it. Growing up a bank.
The mulch replacement would be a cost.
Well, you wouldn't be able, just mowing it this grade would be really...
It's currently, the grass is like, a foot high over there. Yeah, or it was last night. And people do hang out up there, kids hang out and whatever. I mean, I can see the benefit of
And they're often hanging on the fence.
I can see lots of reasons, but
Well, unless you put thorn things there, they're still going to congregate.
They're still
I'll tell
going
you
to
that right
congregate
now.
there. So I have two thoughts. One is, I wish we'd caught it beforehand and designed it without the fence in the first place, but that's water under the bridge. But my opinion, putting a fence there invites kids to climb on the other side of it and jump off the wall. It's just the way it's going to happen. It doesn't matter if it's a 30-inch drop or a 7-foot drop. I watched kids do it just last week on like a 6 or 7-foot drop. So I think this is by far superior from a safety standpoint. I mean, I do wish it was kind of...
Mr. Lana, any comments on maintaining it so it doesn't become an eyesore?
The trash piece will be comfortably maintaining because it's an area, lots of trash goes through that area. I don't really like the idea of the fence being on the roadway side because I could just see us getting hit all the time.
Yep.
Any other discussion?
Okay, one other thing that we talked about at one of the meetings, is this possibly setting the stage for future expansion of that better graded area further down towards the bleachers? I think, Marcy, you mentioned that by doing this now and starting to improve the area may get the town on the right track to continue to improve as you get closer to the bleachers in the future.
This has been an area that there's been a lot of discussion about how to fix it because of the steep slope. In the fall, after the rains and a little bit of snow, the hill is mostly mud. It's very steep. It's easy to slip and fall on it. Relative to the cleanup, that is a concern. However, the groups generally have been very supportive about making sure the entire area is cleaned up after a game, whoever is renting it. So that's part of having the concession stand, but is one we need to constantly be vigilant of. But this whole solution seemed to set a stage for resolving a concern that's been ongoing there.
Are they contractually obligated to clean up the area?
They are.
Would this be included in
It
future
is.
contracts?
It is. It's cleaning up the whole area.
Because it doesn't go all the way to the stands and stuff, I don't think. Right? They don't have commitment to clean those.
Yes, the stands and the hillside. That's to clean up. Yeah. So when you pick up after a game, you're picking up the stands and you're picking up the hillside.
Any other discussion?
I guess this is the drop dead date for this change, or?
We would have to do something temporary in that area to open the school up in the fall.
Well, even just...
I think
Even
now. We're entering phase 2 now, and so they want to include it in phase 2.
Basically.
Yeah. Okay.
If I could offer an opinion, the one thing that I do think this does nicely is tie in the new school to the existing facility. Right now you have this kind of big honking monolithic concrete wall, kind of creates a barrier between the new and the old. I think this nicely ties it in together.
I mean, like I said, I like the design. I'm worried about maintenance, but if we think that can be addressed and managed, and I have no objection.
Good. So I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. This is a discussion item, area for overflow parking. As you know... Mr. Chair. Yes, thank you for attendance. The area which currently houses the construction trailers and storage trailers, we talked about at one point when we were doing our look at contingency items, whether we wanted to pave that area. We decided against that. We left it that maybe it could just be left as a overflow parking by leaving it as crushed stone. We revisited it one more time because, frankly, if we went back to the original plan of leaving it grass, and I'll ask the superintendent to talk about it in a moment, you would get an extra recreational grass area on the property. So, Mrs. Combs, did you want to talk about this for a moment?
Exactly. During the time that we were working on the initial design and talking about that area, it was to be a grass area, and we've always talked about it as a potential site for some level of physical education, play, as well as possibly some soccer, especially youth soccer. With the town taking possession of TCP and the possibility of this wing going down, not knowing how that reconfiguration may look and where the parking goes, there's a potential of even more grass eventually being out there as well. So our recommendation from the schools is to keep it as it was currently, as it was designed, as a grass area.
So there's no financial impact whatsoever. It's just we had been talking about various plans. I wanted to make sure that the committee was aware of where the school recommends we land on this. It really takes no action by us at all because we're just doing what we said we were originally going to do. Are there any questions, concerns?
Is anything going to be done over there? Is it going to be reseeded and...
Loam and hydroseed, yep. They remove the crushed stone, bring in the loam, same stuff as they're using all over the property, and hydroseed it just as they're doing with the rest of the property. All right, seeing nothing else, we can move on. Moving and recycling update. Is that Mr.
I'll do it real quick.
Inga?
Yeah. So we've awarded the moving, and last meeting I spoke about recycling. We awarded the recycling portion of the scope. It is the same vendor, Diamond relocation, that will be working with a company that's called IRN, which is the International Recycling Network. Basically, they will provide trailers, and Diamond will be loading the school staff will bring the furniture to be recycled to the point of load, to the curb from the school, from the existing high school, and then Diamond's people will load them to the trucks. And all furniture will be donated to charities around. Some of them are in the U.S., some of them are overseas, so depending, IRN will take care of that. So we've had a kickoff meeting, and all of that will be taking place pretty much at the same time as the move, so from the existing building to the new, between June 11th and June 20th. It was all within the budget that we've had allocated, was allocated by MSB, and we didn't allocate it. So it's slightly under the budget, in hopes that there's no additional changes.
Are they taking everything that's deemed unusable to the town, including things that, furniture?
We did a survey of the high school, identified about 1,860 various items, and so we documented that. That's what was included in the request for proposals, and that's what they bid on. So their bid was $10,000 to do the recycling or donation of those various items. So there are some items that, were in such tough shape that we didn't include them on that list. So there are some items that would be essentially trash or recycled metal or scrap metal. But the big bulk of things will go out as part of this.
Okay.
Will we have to receive a separate bid to get rid of those items?
No, those are going to be, really what we're going to do is we'll bring in a scrap metal container and a trash container, and so we have to leave the room swept, so anything that's left after the move is complete and the recycling is complete, that will be the stuff that has been going out as either trash or recycling.
Okay. Construction progress update.
We had one other thing that came up in the meeting today, that was the vendor had suggested that he needed to get paid a down payment.
I actually went to town hall, I spoke to Karen about that. I meant to tell you, but I didn't see you. The town has no issues paying 50% upfront if we have no issues with that. So that's, Karen Marshal said that they do it all the time. Basically, in the bid they asked for 50% deposit prior to the work beginning and then 50% after. They can send us an invoice for that. We can stand back and tell them that this is not what we typically do, and we don't want to do that, and I don't think they'll have an issue with that, or we can pay them the 50%. That invoice will be then included in the next meeting on June 8th.
How much is 50%?
50% of the move is, of the recycling is $5,000. It's a $10,000 contract, and 50% of the move would be up to $6,000.
So
for this, right, for this. So, I mean, I don't know, I don't see an issue with that, but it's up to the town, and it seems like the town doesn't have an issue with it.
The town doesn't have an issue, so I don't know that we have any issues with it. Okay?
That'd be great.
All right. Now, construction progress update. Who's going to take care of that?
Let's see if this will work.
It's my last meeting.
Is it?
Yeah.
About time, huh?
Next week. Actually, I was going to do a pool what's faster.
Yeah, you missed it. We have a pool. Our due date is the same day as we're expecting the C of O. So $5 on whether it's the C of O or the baby.
I'll take that.
Are there liquidated damages on the baby?
24
Is what?
The C of O or the baby.
What is it?
The certificate of occupancy.
Okay. COO to me is Chief Operating Officer. What in the world are you talking about?
One of those, too.
Does she know what her child's going to be already?
Preordained.
Oh, CFO, yeah.
No, it's C of O.
C. Oh, okay.
They're all tickets. So these are, we wanted to show you progress from last time. They've done the sidewalks, a lot of the landscaping around the front of the building. They've done the loam. They've done a lot of the planting. The trees have been planted. They're being maintained. They're being watered by the site contractor. Inside the building, all the corridors are done. They need to do the waxing of the floors, which is going to start on Friday. So then they can move furniture in. This is the porcelain tile floors on the lower levels, the administration area, the main reception area for both the middle school and the high school. What else? More of that porcelain tile down by the art wing. From upstairs looking down by to the left, the entrance to the gym, and to the right, the entrance to the auditorium. This is the alternative gym and then the fitness weight room behind it with a rubber floor.
The gym, they've put the bleachers in, and as of this week, the wall pads have gone in too. Cafeteria is basically ready for the tables and chairs in the cafeteria. This is to show the theatrical lighting up on the stage, all the rigging, that's all been installed, all the curtains have been installed. The seats are being covered just to protect them. These are the acoustic panels on the walls of the auditorium. Looking down the other main corridor, the porcelain tile running in front of the auditorium. That's basically it.
So some of the dates coming up are, the plantings will be all but finished by the end of next week. I think we're hydro seeding next week, is that correct?
Yep.
So the lawn will be in. We have the furniture delivery date for the 18th, 19th, and 20th. We're looking for the certificate of occupancy on the 24th. We're still looking to, without any other unforeseen circumstances, be ready for the move directly after the end of the school year from the administrative offices from the high school, the old high school, into the new high school. I think one thing that we're looking at is that we might need to plan an alternative for the use of the new gym for graduation. That's something that we discussed today. So that's just a potential thing that we have to keep our eye on. But the project is still, except for these hiccups, it's virtually on time. Any questions on the construction? Public comment?
So pardon me, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
The building is basically, what, 99% complete?
On the interior, yeah, there's some tiling that still needed to be done, some floor work that needs to be done. They have punch lists for, basically the entire building at this point, all those little odds and ends that need to be done. They've installed some demonstration smart boards in 2 of the classrooms, the electronics for the smart boards in 2 of the classrooms. That will continue through the end of the month, I believe, the installation of those, right?
Those demo classrooms are there. The other installations in the other classrooms won't happen until later on.
Okay.
That was just so we could see how they're setting up, give some more feedback to the suppliers, get a feel for how wonderful those boards are. The projectors are up. Basically, they put the projectors up, the voiceless system they had in place, the document cameras they brought in, and we were able to touch and feel and play with those a little bit today and see how they're all put together. Training will start for staff on that when they return to school in the fall.
The voice lift system is basically, it's a pendant microphone that the teacher can wear, and it basically it just boosts through the sound system a little bit, so people can speak at a normal speaking tone and still be heard throughout the classroom. It also has benefits to folks with some sensory issues. Any other comment? Then I shall take a motion to adjourn. Second. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you all very much.